What's up, guys? We're back on the channel to talk about WWE Raw from this Monday. And appreciate you guys always supporting the channel. I'm going to let you hop on in here as we do this live show. As I said, we're going to try to do more of these. We said that after WrestleMania 41. We didn't get to do SmackDown last week, and I'll talk about SmackDown and maybe a plan we have for doing more reaction shows for that show here in just a bit. But we are going to talk about Raw and another noteworthy addition of Raw as the Dangerous Alliance, Paul Heyman's 2025 version, really takes center stage this week yet again with Seth Rollins making a big offer to Sami Zayn, and we'll talk all about how that will play out maybe in the future. We also know that it seems like Jey Uso is going to get his first opponent for the World Heavyweight Championship, and just as we suspected heading into WrestleMania 41, it's going to be Logan Paul. And yeah, I think that kind of made sense based on what we thought was going to happen between Logan Paul and AJ Styles at WrestleMania 41. So we know that Paul picking up the win, kind of in the AJ Styles roles of last year, where Styles was the one to challenge Cody and all of that. But again, guys, hop on in, leave your questions, comments, thoughts on Raw for this week. And as always, this is a reaction show. We will not go through segment by segment and review every single thing, but we'll just kind of get into what you guys want to talk about, and I'll give you some thoughts overall on what I thought of the show. All right, let's start with the big thing, though. Let's discuss this sort of, everything that played out with Seth Rollins and Sami Zayn and Bron Breakker, of course, who just continues to impress. And that was part of the interesting dynamic, I thought, of the show, was that everything that Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker sort of did here, even with Sami Zayn, who we know in the past has played like the ultimate underdog, right? Even with all of that, you still had the crowd completely eating up what Seth Rollins was doing. They were chanting one more time for the spear after Breakker had hit him, spear after spear after spear. And so it does kind of set up kind of an interesting thing here. Because, and I saw a lot of people talking about this after the show, where everything that Rollins did was sort of, you had him sort of toe in the line where he didn't necessarily want to go all the way. He's like, come on, it's Sammy, it's my friend. But that maybe was kind of the point where they set it up to where, all right, Rollins is a little torn here. Is he really going to do this to Sami Zayn, right? And he mentioned, had the line about you can count this many people on one hand that are true friends in the business. Breaking up house, Sammy called him when he had, he and Becky Lynch had their daughter. Sammy gave him great advice. And so Rollins was torn until the end when we realized that, you know what? He walks over in the corner, gives Bron Breakker a little words of wisdom, and then, basically he made his bed and now he lies in it. And then Rollins goes over and stomps Sammy, stomps his head, right? And so that was definitely the way they were playing it up. You guys know I love my show long stuff that starts at the beginning and you wait for the answer at the end and all that kind of stuff. So I really enjoyed that part of it. But I do think this is one where, like, I think this is going to be interesting to see how they proceed from here. And you wonder, was this kind of the breaking point, right? Where the crowd last night in Kansas City, they're cheering Seth Rollins. They're singing to the music. They're cheering Bron Breakker. We said one more time, they want to see more spears, all this other stuff. But now, is it kind of a scenario where maybe that was the point where you move forward? This is maybe even more of a different side of Seth Rollins, although we've seen this in the past. And maybe that just kind of takes it to that next level because they decided to go through with this, right? And we talk about the ultimatum and all that they gave to Sammy. You can get traded to SmackDown. You can get a shot at John Cena, Randy Orton, which I'll talk about that in a minute. I think that's going to come back and play into something in the future. But for now, I'm curious. Are they going to change Seth Rollins' music so the crowd doesn't sing along with it? Like all these things we talk about, right? And I know a lot of people were mentioning this after the show where, hey, I mean, you kind of want them to be getting booed by the fans, not getting cheered and chanting one more time about this kind of stuff, right? I feel like that's where we're at with this. But I still enjoyed it. I thought it was still very enjoyable because of the way, Rollins sort of delivers things. But again, you are going to get some of the cheers with the way he does it because people love Seth, right? And even though he's become this new thing, it does feel like something where it's like he keeps saying all the right things about, hey, we're the future of the industry. We're telling you the truth, like all this other stuff. And you're fascinated to see where it goes. But at the same time, hey, I don't know how many people are going to boo these guys until, maybe there is just a significant change. But here's what I will say too. I will say that I think the booing, or lack thereof, that could play into what Sami's going to do in the future. You guys know we talked about it last week. I'm like, they're teasing this whole thing in the future. We know it's going to happen with Sami and Jey Uso. And it's just, how are they going to get there? Well, there were a couple things that happened on Raw last night that could absolutely get you there 6 months, a year down the road, right? Where you kind of look at the scenario now where it plays out. And I mean, where was Jay, right? People were asking the question, where was Jey Uso? Why wasn't he coming out to help? Well, they can explain that with the Logan Paul knockout punch or whatever in the back. They did that before the segment. They could use that, right? But I think overall, still, some of the things that Heyman, look at the backstage thing where Heyman's telling, hey, Sami, I could appreciate when you broke away from the bloodline. Hopefully one day you'll be able to appreciate why I did this. And all those little tiny things. And then Sami turning down the opportunity to face John Cena or Randy Orton. And why did he do it? Because, well, Sami's staying true to himself, right? He's staying true to himself. He's going to stay over there. And maybe there's a little bit of, hey, I want to also stay over here for Jay's sake. And Jay's back there telling him, hey, you make the best decision for you. Did Sami make the best decision for him, or did he make the best decision for somebody else by turning down the offer, right? And you bring up all the world championship stuff. Sami's saying that he knows that Seth Rollins knows that that's the one thing that's always been eating him up inside, is the lack of the world championship. There's just so many things like that they're starting to drop in there. But I think we're going to get there with Sami. It's just, we have said it many times, this thing can be a slow burn. And I think it's going to be a slow burn. I think they set a lot of things in motion there with just kind of setting up a lot of different things that you can go back to, which Triple H loves the callbacks, right? We go back to these little tiny things that were there. And I think if you go back and watch, there was a lot of that last night, whether it was the Sami and Heyman interactions, the Rollins and Sami one at the end there, the crowd chanting for Sami to get destroyed a little bit more, no Jay out there to help him, which again, these are things that can be explained, but I do think something we've got to look at in the future. But all right, you guys are hopping on in. I'm going to answer your questions, comments, all that good stuff. Yeah, I mean, loving the alliance angle. Seth's killing it. I believe we'll see another person revealed at Backlash. Maybe. And we said, I don't know that they'll be in a huge hurry to start adding new people to the mix. And also forgot to mention, the Karrion Kross and Sami Zayn interaction last night too. Remember we talked about, could Karrion Kross be someone that they add to the mix at some point? Maybe, who knows? But all those little things that were there, I thought it was a great kind of show-long thread of the way things ran together, even though I mentioned some of the potential issues you have with just the crowd wanting more and more of this. And don't know if that's kind of the big thing, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying this. I know there are things you can kind of pick on, like we said, with the crowd reaction stuff, but those are things you can change. It's just, how do they do it? Or do they just let this keep going like this and say, hey, we don't care. Like, we're getting a reaction, and WWE in the past, hey, as long as you get a reaction, we don't really care what it looks like. But Sami Zayn getting one more time chance for him to get, speared again and again and again, that just shows you how the crowd's reacting to Bron Breakker. And it's the entire group, right? I mean, it's just with Rollins, longtime favorite for people, Bron Breakker, who is kind of in that Jacob Fatu role where it's like you just cannot deny how great this guy is. And he's just going out and kicking people's asses. I mean, that's what a lot of wrestling fans are fine with. Like, we want to cheer that, right? We're okay with that, sure. Like, we want to see the great stuff, like the Bronson Reed thing, right? I mean, the same thing. You're getting the one more time chance, no matter who was down there. Like, hey, I just want to see Bronson Reed jump off the top rope and splash a man. I mean, that's kind of where you're at with Bron Breakker, and everybody knows he's kind of the future. So, yeah, I think that's it. But we'll see what happens. But all right, Jay Summers here. Good to see you in the chat, as always. And John Moxley. John Moxley eventually joining. We'll see if there's a big Shield reunion at some point down the road, but we'll see. So, all right, let's see what else we got here. Brandon said, did a video 6 months ago about how they should change Braun, and WWE took all the ideas. Yeah, well, it's a good thing because you were on it if that's the case. Because yeah, I think Bron Breakker is just, we said it. The guy is just, he's on another level, and that's what I mentioned. That's why I think it's going to be hard to have people booing this guy or rooting against him, because I just think everyone wants to see him go out and do what he did to Sami Zayn. I just, listen, if he does it to CM Punk, if he does it to Roman Reigns, you're still going to have a decent portion of the audience that are going to be okay with that. As many fans as Roman Reigns and CM Punk have, it's how Bron Breakker is presented. and just the aura that he brings to the table, right? And so I think it's absolutely something where it's going to be a challenge because the guy's just that good. So, yeah, I think we'll see. So, all right, JM, always enjoy the comments here from JM. Triple H missed an opportunity here to turn Sami and have him join. Would have been a great twist to the story. Instead, we got the safe booking. I still think, and you guys again know my thoughts. I think Sami at some point there has to be a change with Sami. And I mentioned earlier, like the breaking point for maybe Seth and that group. Maybe this was the breaking point for Sami Zayn, where I think he's going to realize, he's still, as Karrion Kross said, as Jay said, as Heyman said, like everyone talking to Sami. That was the story here. And he's getting different thoughts from people, but it all kind of comes back to the same place where it's just at some point, Sami's got to do what's best for him. He can't worry about what everyone else thinks. He can't worry about his friend Jay. Like he has to go out and get his, right. And he said it plain and simple. He wants that world championship. It's the one thing that is just eating at him. It's just eating at him. And so that's going to eventually boil over. And so we are going to get it. It just, I'm not surprised there though, that we're not there yet. And I think it's going to take a little bit maybe because you got to let Jay go through this cycle with Logan Paul and all that, right? Like we know we're getting these matches. You may get 2 matches between Jay and Logan Paul. Who knows? But I think, yeah. And, too, I think it's kind of interesting, right? I mean, you look at the way the crowd like responds to Logan Paul and the way they used to respond to Dominik and Charlotte and like all these other people, right? I mean, that's where are we ever going to get there with Seth and this group? I don't know, just because they are such a unit that, again, people respect, right? And you want to see the cool things they're going to do next. And so we'll see if they twist some things a little bit to try to get there with that. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, Brandon said kind of a slow burn. Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of a slow burn for sure. And look, I think I said it earlier too. You're right here, JM. I mean, the sing along music thing has always been something, right? Like not just with Seth, but other people too. Like anytime you have a theme like that, I mean, you're just gonna, people are gonna naturally like it. Like they're gonna sing along with it. They're gonna be entertained by it. And so that's something where, all right, if there are, a large group of people out there that want to see some of these things that change with this group, that's one of them where it's like, hey, eventually do you just, do you say, all right, we're going to bring you something where you can't sing anything here. It's just going to be basically the most bland whatever. But yet you can't do the sing-alongs because that is something that, again, that encourages cheers. It encourages excitement. You want to do this, right? But if you are kind of a group like this, I don't know. Do you really want that for a group that's going to be doing that? So, all right, let's get some other stuff here for you guys. And again, keep your comments coming. Always enjoy it, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the entire show. We won't just talk about this part. We'll run through some other quick stuff too, with some thoughts on everything else. But also, let's see what else we've got here. Here you go. Eduardo asked earlier too. Do you think the Lucha Bros will wrestle El Grande Americano and Chad Gable at the next PLE? Well, at some point, we got to get that tag team match, right? Which is possible because we know that Chad Gable is not El Grande Americano. So we've got to get a tag team match at some point in the future, you would think. But I'll tell you this just quickly, it's kind of on a sidebar with this, but it applies. I do like the fact that they split up Penta and Rey Fenix for now, because it does kind of give you the opportunity to have that big moment, right? Where they come together in the future. You can have them go for the tag titles, and that will immediately elevate, either tag team division, which in my opinion, I would still vote to just completely disband the 2 titles and just do 1 championship for the tag titles, have people go across both brands. Because there's so many good teams now. I mean, the SmackDown tag team division right now is absolutely just loaded. And we saw that, by the way. Well, I mean, the SmackDown, the TLC match last week, unbelievable. We didn't get a chance to do the reaction show, but unbelievable match. One of the best TLC matches I've ever seen. But like, if you just had all those interactions, right, you could still get a lot of different. The Raw tag team division is just really, there's just not a lot of people there in terms of, overall established teams at that top level. So they're going to bring them together at some point, but for now they can kind of hold their own as singles guys, because I think they're just that good from a, they just both have such a. We talk about the aura for Bron Breakker, but it's kind of the same with Penta and Fenix. These guys are just, man, they're really good on their own. So Yeah, so we'll see what's going to happen. But I'm with you, Eduardo. I'd like to see them eventually get together, and we know it's going to happen. That they're going to do it at some point. But yeah, we'll see. So, all right, let's go here with what Robert has to say. I always appreciate Robert joining in. Have a feeling down the line that Paul is going to betray Seth and align with Braun. That will present an option for Roman and Seth to team up. They'll have more members in the faction. Yeah, I do think like anytime we get these things started, we always know that the end destination, which may be a year from now, maybe 2 years from now, whatever, it's always going to involve when you get these kind of people together who all come together for the common cause, right? They all believe in this future, this vision for professional wrestling. They believe in the vision of the visionary, Seth Rollins. Well, at some point, everybody's going to see things a little bit differently. And, just knowing that Paul Heyman usually finds a way to go to the highest bidder, you're always going to have that possibility where at some point, Braun outshines Seth. And eventually, at some point, that means that Braun's got to, basically take out Seth. And so we're way far away that. We all know that. But it is something fun to think about, down the line for sure. Just given the pieces that are involved here. There. So you guys let me know what you thought of this Raw too, by the way. I know Jay Summers says thought it was a boring Raw. I don't know if I thought it was boring. I thought there were a couple of big highlights, and we'll talk about the other stuff in just a second. But yeah, I know right hand Cam gonna jump in here. Okay, yeah, I thought it was a pretty good show. Like I said, I think some of the things that people are gonna pick apart was just the reaction to the Rollins stuff. But I thought overall I enjoyed it. But you are still, remember, like we're a week post WrestleMania, so you're definitely still in that setting the foundation phase for like the summer and all that. And also, you're really quickly trying to get to stuff for Backlash, because that's kind of one of the flaws of the schedule, right? Is Backlash is not this weekend, but next weekend. So like we're not that far away. So it's a quick turnaround. And so, you kind of had to put everything together pretty quickly on that. So, yeah, so we'll see what they do kind of moving forward and how things pick up elsewhere. But Brandon says, yeah, people love Seth Rollins. That's just how it is. Yeah, I think so. And as long as he has that theme, they're going to keep loving him. For sure. Shout out to Rob here. Yeah, enjoy doing the live streams. Like I said, more often than not, it's going to be easier for me to do the Raw live streams the following day than it is SmackDown, just because SmackDown's on a Friday. You go into the weekend. You guys got the little men running around. So it's just like, yeah, it's just kind of one of those things where it will be easier. But I'm going to talk about an idea I have maybe for being able to do SmackDown every single week for the reaction we're going to do. But I may do it for the channel members, because I may not be able to do it on Friday or Saturday, may not be able to do it to Sunday. Some weeks may not be able to do it till Monday morning, but I want to be able to still do SmackDown because I still watch it. I just don't get a chance to watch it live every week. Sometimes have to catch up on Saturday or Sunday. So still want to be able to get that to you guys. But again, we have some ideas for how I want to do that. So, all right, let's see here from Brandon. I'm going to get to this one. Do you think the Cena storyline mixing with Seth, Braun, Heyman, or do you think they'll keep it 2 major storylines for each brand? Yeah, I think it probably stays branched off at this point. We talked about the possibility heading into WrestleMania. Could they do the whole thing with, all right, you got this one huge power group with The Rock leading the way, and there's Cena and there's Seth, and you got them kind of owning both brands here. But now the way it's played out, they're definitely just going to go with the Cena, rivalry tour here. He's going to get Orton. I'm sure he'll get Punk at some point. I mean, he's got to get R-Truth, my guy R-Truth, telling him he's his hero, and all this other stuff. So I think they're just going to keep them separate for sure for now. And Cena's got plenty to do on SmackDown with Orton. And like I said, then just moving on to everybody else. So Kermit asks here, here we go. Kermit asks, when will Montez and Angelo Dawkins go solo? So they could both be in the U.S. or Intercontinental title. Yeah, I've always said at the start, it was all about Montez Ford. But like now you even look at Angelo Dawkins, you're like, man, he has become fantastic in terms of, just what he can do too. So I've always been a huge fan of those guys. And at some point we know it's going to happen. So we know it is. So absolutely. So, all right. So let's look what else here that we got. Let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah. Pat McAfee. We got to bring up Pat McAfee, right? So Pat McAfee, respect the hell out of Pat McAfee for the thought that he just got up on the table. He's just doing the announce, like saying, hey, I'm going to go after Gunther, but we know what's going to happen, right? I think they're absolutely setting this up for McAfee just to get completely destroyed by Gunther at Backlash. And I like the way he's just like, hey, I'm standing up for my man, Michael Cole. And we kind of thought last week, right? We said we're just going to we knew they're going to do the match. I mean, the way they set it up, you're like kind of have to do Gunther and Pat McAfee. So, yeah, it's going to be a special squash, I think, with that. So, yeah, Kermit, I agree. He's going to get chopped into oblivion here. Is Pat McAfee. So that's one match we know we're getting at Backlash. Like it's going to happen, Gunther and Pat McAfee. So, yeah, I think it will be an interesting experience for sure. So, to see how it goes for old Pat. Yeah, but Rob says, hey, we get the Goldberg return after that. We kind of, last week we're like, hey, how do you set this up? I don't think I was sold on the idea that they were going to do Gunther and Pat McAfee last week, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So, yeah, I think Goldberg's got to come back though at some point, right? He's got to. They got to do the match between Goldberg and Gunther. So, not a match I would have thought we were going to see, 3 or 4 years ago, but it's probably going to happen. So, all right, let's see what else we've got here. So again, we've kind of touched on the Sami Rollins stuff, and that kind of ties in Jay. So we didn't really touch much on Jay, but like I said, they clearly are going to have a scenario here where they're going to go to Jay and Logan Paul. And like we mentioned at WrestleMania, we talked about it entering the show, after the show. Logan Paul was just one of the obvious choices you could go with to have for one of those first title reigns. And we said it's always tough in those first couple title reigns or those first couple title defenses where you have the champion, the new champion comes out and people are just like, how do you sell them on the idea that he's going to lose the title this soon? And, Logan Paul, like we said, love him or hate him. I mean, the guy, he gets plenty of heat, doesn't he? So I think it's a fine choice because, it'll be interesting just to kind of see how they go back and forth here. And like I mentioned, you can sort of explain the Sami stuff a little bit, with Jay not being there to help him because Logan Paul took him out in the back and all that stuff. But again, like we mentioned, the Sami Jay stuff is just, it's going to happen at some point. It's just, we're not even close yet. And I think a lot of things were put in motion on Raw this week that still are adding to the story, but we know like this is it's not a short-term thing, I don't believe. I think it's going to be something that'll be much further down the road. I mean, could that be a SummerSlam thing? Could they wait until next year's WrestleMania? Like, there's so many ways you can kind of hold off, but there's so many events they have too, where it's just like, you can make this such a bigger story. And the Jay and Sami story is one of the bigger stories in WWE, right? Over the past how many years now, really since the Bloodline became a thing. And Sami was part of that group. Like, that's one of the biggest long-term stories you have. So I don't think they're going to be in a rush to do that, just as we noted last week. So, yeah, so I think it's going to be kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, I think Logan Paul's fine as a first title defense for Jay. I really do. I think that's a fine choice because, again, love him or hate him. Like I said, I think Logan Paul can certainly have some good matches when presented the opportunity in certain spots. So, yeah, I think it's a good start for them. And so, all right, so we'll kind of tie that into here from Brandon talking about the Backlash card, and we'll touch on some of these other things too. So the 4 matches we got confirmed are basically waiting. So he's got Lyra and Becky, which I want to stick on that one for a second. I thought they had a great exchange. I think it was probably Lyra Valkyria's. I mean, to me, that was probably like the most impactful segment she's had since she's been on the main roster, right? I mean, she won the title, she won the Intercontinental Championship. That's a huge moment, but like I thought she did a good job, sort of. Just being able to go back and forth with Becky there. I was very entertained by that. Kind of gave good reasoning, I thought, as to why. She once looked at Becky as sort of the hero, but she brought up that Bayley and others had kind of said that Becky will, come out and turn on you just to get what she wants and all these things. And that's how it played out, right? So I thought it was good stuff. And I think it'll be, a fun match between those two. Yeah, Logan versus Jay. And keep in mind, too, something to think about here as well. They have a Saturday night's main event coming up a couple weeks after Backlash. So I feel like some of this stuff will probably get pushed to that because you need kind of your hook for Saturday night's main event. But again, if you're looking at the direction here, we know we're getting Cena Orton. We know we're getting McAfee Gunther. Again, Becky Lyra, we know was pretty much added in. I think Logan and Jay, that may be one I'm curious to see if they do that at Backlash or do they hold that off for that Saturday night's main event show maybe. But either way, I do think, we're obviously getting that and it may happen as soon as next weekend at Backlash. But and also keep in mind too, I think from SmackDown, the 4, are we going to get the 4-way? Jacob Fatu, Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, and why am I forgetting the 4th person? Damian Priest. Are we going to get that as a possibility, right? You can maybe do that. That may be something too that you could hold off for Saturday night's main event. or just the SmackDown main event. But because they do the 5 matches on these PLEs most of the time, except for WrestleMania, you've got to wonder, like, the card's getting almost pretty much closed. So I'm curious to see what gets put on Backlash, what maybe gets held off for Saturday night's main event, and all that. So yeah, I mean, look, it's a good point here too, Brandon. Maybe they do. Do you get the tag team match at that point? Is that kind of your selling point? Yeah. Do you do the Roman Punk, Seth Bron Breakker? Because no Roman, no Punk on this show, but they got to come back and have that match, right? So you got to, and it seemed like there were some rumors out there when you looked at some stuff yesterday, SummerSlam, looking at your possible matches. I saw one of the matches rumored out there that maybe do Punk and Breaker there. Don't know, but we kind of said we kind of have an idea maybe of the top matches, right? In some combination, you could do a Roman Punk if they want to do the turn on each other, which is going to happen at some point. These two can't coexist. We know that. Or do you do Roman and Seth? We already said pretty good idea. You would think they're going to do Cody and Cena there, part 2. So yeah, I think there's plenty of matches for SummerSlam, but yeah, I'd like that tag team match. That'd be a huge hook for a Saturday night's main event. A little call back to the Mega Powers back in the day with Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage teaming up against the Big Boss Man and Akeem. That may be something you could do there as your big tag team hook on that one. So, all right, so Total Sports Talk here. Always enjoy jumping in. Do you think this new Seth Rollins faction will have a new member join? If so, what do you think the new member could be? Balor or Dom? Well, I mean, Balor could have some Judgment Day at some point, which, by the way, Liv Morgan, it seems like taking a couple weeks off maybe to film this new movie, which if you see all the rumors out there last night and this morning, sounds like this movie she's going to be part of, like the wording I saw was like, it's going to shock everyone how big this thing is, which shouldn't be surprising. Like Liv Morgan's an absolute star. So I'm curious to see what movie it is, though. Kind of fascinated by that. But look, someone's going to join eventually, right? We just know how these things work. It's just, I don't know who it's going to be. Like we said, there's so many options you could go with. I would think the Judgment Day stuff still seemingly has a little ways to play out. I mean, this Judgment Day thing from the very start has been kind of a slow burn. And, you had the tag team loss. I mean, the War Raiders beat JD McDonough and Finn Balor last night, and they just keep pushing the tension between the members of the group. So it's going to happen, at some point that they're going to have to explode. You're going to have the Balor versus Dominik Intercontinental Championship match, right? But, yeah, I think absolutely you're going to have different options for who could join the group. I don't know that it will be one of those two, but that Judgment Day, I think, is another interesting question, though, as to where they go from here eventually. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But, all right, so Eduardo heading back to work. Got to say one thing. It's 4 letters, 1 word. Yeet, Eduardo says. Yeet, Eduardo, on the way back to work there. And let's get to some other stuff here. By the way, just quickly, I'm going to run through some other quick thoughts, and then I'll get to your questions and comments as we'll wrap up here in a little bit. But the women's division, I think, is in a great spot right now. It's one of the things I had on my notes as I was watching the show last night. Man, you just look at all the different stuff that they can do right now. I mean, it seems like Roxanne Perez and Julia, based on what they did last night, like they're setting up a tag team match there. We can have Rhea and Io against them. So, seems like they're in a great spot. So they're kind of coming up. I mean, I'm going to say this right now. I don't think this is a hot take, but some people may say it. I mean, you guys know I'm not a hot take guy, but I think Stephanie Vaquer is one of the best they've ever had, period. And she's not even basically been like a main roster, call up yet, right? She's had a couple matches, but she's still the NXT Women's Champion. To me, like, she is one of the best they've ever had in the company's history. And I know it may sound like, oh man, that's so over the top. She's not even been on the main roster yet, all this other stuff, but you can just see, like, she is incredible in terms of what she can do. And I just think that, I mean, it's going to be obvious. And now when you look at this partnership they have with AAA, however you want to say it, I mean, they are, I think, going to make her a very featured part of just kind of maybe their talk about the future of the business and Seth Rollins' vision and all that. Like, I think they clearly have the vision that she is an absolute star. And I think she is. And so I'm curious to see kind of when she starts to, she's got to lose the NXT championship, I guess, at some point. But once she gets that, main roster call up and then she's there every week, like, she is just, I mean, she's on a different level in the ring. And I'm excited to see kind of how they continue to use her. But I mean, again, it does tie into the state of the women's division, right? I mean, we talk about all these things they've got cooking up, especially on Raw. I mean, they're definitely loading up Raw, but even on SmackDown, it's going to be interesting to see how they develop everything with with Jade and Naomi and Bianca, even though she's got the broken fingers, so she's probably out for not long. I mean, it's broken fingers, wouldn't think it's that long, but yeah. So I mean, the women's division to me, when you look at some of these NXT call ups, either now or going to happen in the near future, man, it's in a really good spot. Like we mentioned, I mean, you got Becky coming back. Lyra, can she take a step forward? There's so many things they can do right now. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed what we got there. I mean, Rhea and Roxanne was good. I mean, Stephanie Baker and Ivy Nile was good. I mean, they're getting This Is Awesome chance for that match. So great push forward, I think, for the women's division right now as we kind of move into the next phase of the summer stuff and then head towards, SummerSlam and all that. So did want to bring that up for there. All right, let's get back to some of the things here. John Doe, by the way, brought up Logan Paul. And yeah, we were talking about that earlier about just got the potential. Yeah, he's got the look. He's got the skills on the mic. And again, he gets the reaction that they want him to get. And yeah, I mean, he's, like I said, you don't have to like everything about Logan Paul, inside the ring, outside the ring, whatever. But I mean, hey, I mean, he's really good at what he does. And the role he's expected to play, he's really good at it. And so sometimes that's all you need, right? And so, like I said, I like the idea of having him and Jay as one of that, kind of first defenses for Jay. So can they sell us on the idea that Logan Paul can beat him? Don't know. So, but I think it's a pretty good pairing. We'll see how it goes. So, all right. Kermit says, is Randy going to punt John Cena? We'll see. We'll see. Maybe it happens. But yeah, that we talk about selling that first title defense, right? It will be tough to make people think that Orton is going to beat Cena, even though it's in St. Louis and all this other stuff, just because it's Cena. And hey, come on, you expect him to hold the title for a while, but I'm more fascinated. How do they do it, right? I mean, everybody's brought up the old match they had where you had the intentional, what was it, disqualification or something like that, and so title gets retained. Do they do the other way now, where Cena does it, where he intentionally gets disqualified and keeps the title? I mean, I don't know if you can pull that off. Maybe you do a little, possibility where you do that and then somebody comes out, restarts the match, and Cena somehow still wins. I don't know, but I'm excited for this one. And I know it's like, hey, these guys, I mean, how many matches they've had now? A million, but it's a different version now. And I'm kind of excited to see how it ties into it. And also, I'm also excited knowing that, like, we're not going to be sitting here waiting on The Rock. And so now that we can kind of just move past The Rock stuff, it's good because, like, we're not just sitting here waiting and waiting and waiting. We're like, all right, this is what it is now. We're not talking about The Rock because it's just not happening. He's not part of the story right now. And so let's get past it. Let's just move on and let's see what happens with some old friends meeting up here, John Cena and Randy Orton. So, all right. Roland asks here, is Sami going to win Money in the Bank? They're definitely making emphasis on him never winning the world title. Yeah, great point. And I think, remember, too, they moved Money in the Bank up this year, right? I mean, that's June the 7th. So if you really think about it, guys, I mean, Money in the Bank's a little bit over a month away. So it's not that far. And they've still got Backlash. We got Saturday night's main event, and then we got Money in the Bank. So knowing that, I mean, you're pretty close in proximity to being able to get to that, quicker than we think. And so maybe Sami wins, and that's where all of a sudden, if Jay's still the champion at that point, you set up a very kind of fascinating, angle where it's like, all right, what's Sami going to do? Is he really going to cash in, or does he go to SmackDown and try to cash in on Cena or whoever? Like, those are things that I think Sami winning the Money in the Bank would be a great idea. And right now, I think he probably has to be the front runner, in my opinion, because if they're going to do it this way, him having that briefcase can send you down a lot of different directions. So I love this, and I think, yeah, I would love to see it because it would definitely tie into what they're doing with that. Everybody was asking about, Aleister Black maybe joining the Paul Heyman, alliance there. Sure. I mean, you talk about the differences, right? And guys, like, think of the way Rollins is, think of the way Breakker is, and then you have Aleister Black, and like just the different personalities, the different approaches they all have. Yeah, like that'd be fascinating. So gonna be fascinating. So, all right. BC Preacher here. Yeah. Shout out to Keep It Clean on here. I'm just kind of, I always say, like, I just kind of do this as if I'm talking to my friends about wrestling. Like, this is what I do talking to them. And I'm like, we just so happen to just do this for fun on YouTube. So, I just kind of, it's the way I've always been. So, hey, I appreciate you joining in and for the nice comments on that. Yeah, for sure. So, Jay Summers here. Great comment. Of course, Logan Paul has good mic skills. He's a YouTuber. Yeah. Well, I mean, come on. I get what you're saying on that. So, all right, let's see what else we got here. The intentional, yeah, you guys are both on the intentional slap. Yeah. Could that be something where you have that? Yeah. I think you kind of have that probability that they're going to do something like that because they know. I mean, everybody's kind of brought up those things, and so yeah, I think you could kind of do it with the referee and just see what happens, right? Yeah, so I think we're going to see how it goes on that. All right, a couple other things here I'm going to bring up from Raw. I know we didn't talk about Rusev very much, but you did kind of have the promo where he's taking aim at everyone. I mean, again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel here when it comes to Rusev. We all know why he's here. He's here to to destroy everyone. So just let him say that, and just let it go that way. So yeah, I think Rusev and Otis, that's going to be a big hoss fight next week. We knew they were kind of setting that up. We thought they may do it this week, but slow burn. We're going to get it next week. So yeah, we're going to have Rusev get his first win next week, I would think, against Otis. Clearly, as we said, they're kind of setting up some other stuff when it comes to, the Chad Gable, Americano stuff, Penta, all that. So we're going to kind of keep that going a little bit. It seems, some other stuff. I'm trying to see what else we haven't really talked about. We talked about most of it, I think, from this edition of Raw. I am kind of curious to see. It sounds like, Dominik and AJ Styles, we're going to do something there based on that interaction they had when they called us backstage. So, seems like we're going to get something coming out of that. Yeah. So I think that's kind of, like I said earlier, there were some people I thought were kind of, I saw online people were just kind of split on Raw, but I mean, it's any show you probably do, but I did thoroughly enjoy this show. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. Like I said, I think the most glaring thing was just, do they decide that we have to do something a little different with the Rollins group to maybe get them way more booed? But like I said, other than changing the music, I mean, you're still going to have your longtime dedicated Seth Rollins fans. People still enjoy Paul Heyman, right, for what he does. And I just don't know how many people out there are going to boo Bron Breakker, no matter what he does, because I just think the guy is so spectacular that I don't know. I mean, it's the Jacob Fatu effect. I'm telling you, I really think it's that. It's the Jacob Fatu effect, where at some point you realize, all right, this is the kind of dude we want to see. And so I don't care what he does. I don't care who he destroys. Like, I'm all for seeing this dude do what he does best. And that's just go out and, basically showcase the incredible physical specimen that he is. That's what I want to see. And I don't really care who is the person that suffers the consequences of that, which was Sami Zayn. As we said, the ultimate underdog in the past, Sami Zayn. And people are chanting, hey, I don't care if it's Sami. I just want to see Bron do his thing. I paid money, probably a lot of money, for these tickets for WWE shows right now, which, by the way, little sidebar. Did you guys see that there was something yesterday where it was the SummerSlam ringside packages or something like that, which involved a lot of stuff. You get like the in-ring photo op, you get all kinds of added little perks. But I think like the SummerSlam package or something like that was going for $40,000 or $50,000 for the 2 nights for SummerSlam. That tells you all you need to know. So absolutely, again, incredible prices here. I will not be sitting front row at SummerSlam. I can confirm that. I do not have the $40,000 or $50,000 for the all-inclusive package there for the SummerSlam front row tickets. But hey, shout out to those who do. But it is wild to kind of see. So but again, people are going to pay their money and they want to see what they want to see. And I think right now they want to see Breakker, Jacob Fatu, because look, I mean, those are the two guys that are. Remember that interaction they had not long ago? We did the video on it, however many months ago that was. Like, at some point, they're going to have to cross paths too. And when they do, there's your big, money match that you got also. So that's just what people want to see right now. And we'll see how they kind of try to turn this a little bit to see if the crowd will boo these guys more. But, the best chance you have of that is to simply have them interact, like I said, with Reigns and Punk, even though you're still going to have people cheer Rollins and Breakker. But that's okay in that scenario because, Reigns and Punk will have plenty of people cheering them. But fascinating to see what they do with this. I really am. So, all right, let's see. Yeah, Rob, listen, it was like 40,000. I'm going to see if I can pull up the tweet here because I want to, if you guys didn't see it, I want to show you exactly what all was kind of encompassed in that. And I want to kind of bring it up here because I think it was such a wild, wild thing that I could not believe it. So, all right, here it is. I'm going to pull it up. Let me see if I can get it here on the screen. So, yeah, it's just wild. So, all right, I'm going to try to pull this up for you guys. You guys can chat while I'm doing this. But, all right. I mean, this is incredible. So, okay, I'm gonna get this on the screen here. And by the way, Jay Summers said that the TLC ladder match, an all-time classic on SmackDown. I agree. I mean, it was one of the best TLC matches they've ever done, one of the best ladder matches they've ever done. Those guys brought it, and I like the idea that they were pushing. Hey, these guys got left off WrestleMania. Hey, they wanted to prove themselves, and my goodness, they proved themselves. It was incredible stuff. So, all right, let me pull this up here. So. Hold on. You guys know I'm like technically sometimes not the best. All right. So let me pull this logo down here so you can see what's going on with this. But this is just, I can't. Like, I find this so kind of fascinating here when it comes to the way they have this going on with these prices. But okay. So the confirmed. So the Elite Plus package. Let me pull this off the screen too. Sorry, I'm a little behind doing that. But all right, so the Elite Plus package for the front row floor center, so the TV side for SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium. Of course, that takes place, like we said, end of July, August, whatever. $40,000 per ticket. Confirmed they are sold out on this very limited quantity. So it's very limited, right? They include premium front row seating, an in-ring photo op, private transportation. Okay, I'm all right. I'm okay with that. Private section at the all-inclusive pre-show with superstar appearances by Kevin Nash and more. Get the post-show press conference access and the photo op on the desk. Tickets to both nights of SummerSlam. Okay, plus some tickets to SmackDown and Raw, as well as on the August 1st and August 4th shows and more. That's a lot of money, though. Look, you're getting a lot. There's no question about this, right? But man, is that a lot of money for these very limited front row seats. But we know, listen, there are the millionaires and billionaires out there. They got the money. They're spending on these. But one day, that is all of all the goals, right? To be able to have that possibly. So there you go. If you want to go to SummerSlam and you want to get the all-inclusive package, it only costs $40,000. It seems per ticket. Okay, $40,000 per ticket. So there we go. All right. Let's see what else we got. So good comment here. I thought no point to boo him. Seth wants people to follow him. Yeah, it's perfect. Again, I enjoyed it, but I know, like I said, if we want to kind of argue the side where we have seen people criticize it, like I get it, but also I think that what they're doing does feel very fresh and it feels different. And so, hey, I want to see more of that. So I'm going to cheer because I want to see more of this fresh and different thing that they're doing. And so, yeah, I don't have a complete problem with it. It's not, it's not the old school way, right? Where guys like this should be just getting, booed every single thing they do. But I'm okay with kind of the way it works right now. But we'll just see what kind of changes they make on that. So I mean, yeah, look, remember too, the whole exchange they were trying for Sami and all that, and for Sami to turn down the idea that he could face John Cena or Randy Orton. I mean, by turning down the trade, I mean, that would have been interesting. And again, it would have been fascinating if Sami would have said yes, right? And maybe he still says yes. Maybe there's still an opportunity. So we'll find out. So, all right. Let's see what else we got here. When do I think Roman and Punk are coming back? I mean, we talked about that a few minutes ago. We're like, if they're going to do that, they're not going to do it at Backlash, I don't think. But if they're going to do that at Saturday night's main event, I mean, you'd have to think they come back in the next week or two, right? Maybe hold them off till after Backlash. Maybe that's the thing that sends you into that big tag team match. Maybe they do it Saturday night's main event, something like that. So yeah, that's certainly a possibility. Maybe that's kind of the time frame. Maybe hold off till after Backlash. You have everything kind of set. Do something like that. So because next week that's your go home show for Backlash for Raw. So there's really no reason to bring them back then. So maybe you do a little bit more on the Sami stuff next week. You got to tie the Jay Logan Paul stuff in maybe, but I don't really, I would think it's probably been held off unless they decide to do, I don't know. Do you add Seth versus Sami at Backlash? I think Backlash again is going to be, you don't really need a lot on the undercard. Like Backlash is being sold on Cena versus Orton. And so you don't really need this to be the biggest PLE ever, right? It's the post WrestleMania PLE, and you don't really need it to be just a complete, you know, you don't need everything on the card to be the best thing ever. And I think that's kind of where you're at on that. So Total Sports Talk here says too, hey, don't rule out Jay joining Seth. Jay had the little stare, like, you know, go back and watch a little bit. He had a little stare towards Sami when he walked away, and he had the interaction with him, but there's so many ways they can go with it, and I like that. Again, we always make our predictions on what we think is going to happen, but they are not always right. But I think, yeah, like the Jay-Sami dynamic, we're going to get there. Just who's it going to be, right? Is it Sami turning on Jay? Is Jay turning on Sami? Who knows? So, because eventually, does the crowd start booing Jay? I don't see it happening right now. A lot of online stuff about that, but I don't see it. Still a lot of yeeting going on, but maybe that happens eventually, right? So, we'll find out. So yeah, TriStar. If you do Rowan versus Rock at some point, we're gonna get a little Georgia Tech versus Miami, a little ACC clash there, potentially for those two. Bring in the history and the football programs, perhaps. So all right, we're gonna head out on this. Chase says, could they tie John Cena into this? Yeah, people were asking that earlier, Chase, about the idea that, and you bring up like Seth and Bron can't get booed. They're begging for Babyface to get speared a million times. Sounds like a toxic relationship. That's a good point. Like, that's a little toxic. It is, right? I mean, it kind of does kind of go back to some of the things Cena's been saying. And yeah, I mean, it's a great point. Like we've said some of the things Cena says are not wrong. Like, they're the truth, but you know, and that's the thing too. We're like, you're still getting the Cena chance. Let's go Cena, right? Like, Cena sucks. Let's go Cena. Like, it's 2025 and the crowds are different everywhere you go, but I mean, it's kind of an awesome deal they've got going on where the crowds aren't reacting the way they used to, but like they're reacting in such a different way sometimes where it's just like you don't know where they're going to go. City to city, like where are the crowds going to go? We don't know. So yeah, so I don't know. But it does tie into some of the stuff about Rollins and Breakker. So we'll see. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off. But yeah, always enjoy being able to do this. Like I said, I do have some ideas for being able to do this more. And again, if you want to support the channel, you can do that. We talked about right-hand cam earlier. More members that have joined the channel here. It's just, if you want to support what I do, doing as many videos and live streams as I can for you guys, the way to do that, to allow me to do more of it, is simply join the memberships. You can join the Tribal Chiefs is what it's called, $3.99 a month if you want to hop in. Much cheaper than a SummerSlam ticket. Maybe that's how I should sell it, right? You don't have to pay $40,000 to join in on this special VIP package here at the Wrestling Reaction Channel. $3.99 a month. You can join the membership tier. And again, I do have an idea for maybe trying to do more SmackDown-related stuff on the membership tier. Just because the way the schedule works, it may be several days after, but I still watch the shows and want to be able to kind of share some thoughts on them. But if I put them out on the main channel here 3 days late, you guys will be like, what's this guy doing? Why is he reacting 3 days late? So something to think about. You can hit that join button, support the channel. And again, I do have some ideas for some more member stuff as well. Does it include travel? Total Sports Talk said, yeah. The good news is no travel stipend needed. All you have to do is pick up your phone or your computer or whatever. That's all you have to do. You don't have to travel. I can't give you luxury transportation to the membership tier, but I can give you some members only contents here. So I appreciate you guys. And again, if you want to make sure you get on that, I do got some ideas for doing maybe some SmackDown live reaction, maybe the day after, maybe a couple days later. But we're just kind of looking at ideas on that, just based on how my schedule works each week. So, all right, guys, I appreciate it. Appreciate TriStar becoming a new member here, already lining up for you guys. And yes, again, joining that just means more tier, or it just means more here if you join with looking at the Tribal Chiefs. $3.99 a month. So, all right. I appreciate you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments too. Any additional thoughts you have on Raw, and turn on your notifications, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well. And again, appreciate your support of the channel as always. And I'll talk to you here soon at Wrestling Reaction.